All right, so if you have not finished with the boom, is this the boom deck from yesterday? Nope, the pixel art from yesterday. So right here, that's what I have left. Need a pencil, Alyssa? Guys, you gotta return pencils. I'm pretty much out. Okay. So yesterday we were remembering that we have to get common coefficients. So I can either multiply the bottom by -4 to get a -12x, or I can multiply the top all the way through by 4 to get a -16y. Which did you guys do? Or which do you prefer? 4 through the top? So remember, you have to multiply it by everything. 4 times 12x is 48x. 4 times -4y is -16y. And 4 times -4 is -16. Don't forget your equal sign in there. Then I'm just copying down the second equation below there. So now I'm going to add these up, right? 48 and 3 is 51x. These are equal and opposite, so they make 0 when you combine them. And guess what happens here? These become 0 too. So 0 divided by anything is going to be still 0. Then I'm putting 0 back in. I kind of like that bottom equation, but you can put 0 in for either of them. So this 3 times 0 is 0, so 16y is equal to 16. When I divide 16 by itself, it is simply 1. Yeah, quickly. So our point here is 0, 1. Remember when you're putting that into the pixel art to remember your parentheses and do not use any spaces. Any others that you want to see before we move on? We're okay. So today, instead of just multiplying one of our equations by a number, we may have to multiply both of them to get them to be equal and opposite. So I always think of them kind of like denominators. We have to have a common denominator, right? Here we have to have common coefficients, and we need one to be positive and one to be negative. So just like yesterday's notes, a method for solving systems of equations. Good review by adding or subtracting. To eliminate a variable. So step 1, make sure the equations are lined up. We have not had to really line them up except when we're rewriting them. So I guess we kind of have been doing that. Step 2, add or subtract the equations to eliminate the variable with common coefficients. Remember, that's the number in front of the letter. Step 3 is to solve. for the remaining variable. Once we have one variable, we know we're always going to substitute your answer into either original equation and solve for the other variable. So yesterday we talked about what if there are no common coefficients, and we said we would multiply one or both equations So yesterday we multiplied one. Today we're going to multiply both. Multiply one or both equations by some number to create, do we say matching opposite? Yeah. Matching opposite coefficients. So today we are deciding, do we want to get the x's to be matching and opposite or the y's to be matching and opposite? What should we do for number 8 here? X's? All right, so what do I have to multiply through the top equation? What is the least common multiple of 3 and 5? 15. So to make 15 out of 3, we have to multiply it by 5. So this is going to be 15x plus 9y is equal to 27. Notice I'm multiplying by every term in my equation, right? Oh my goodness. I was multiplying by 3, wasn't I? Not by 5. Glad you're all awake this morning. All right, so 5 times 3 is still 15. 5 times 9 is not 27 either, it's 45. So now I need to make this 5x into 15, but I want it to cancel out the 15, so I need the opposite of 15, which is what? Negative 15. So to get it to be negative 15, I'm going to multiply it by negative 3. Now I'm multiplying by 3. I was getting a little ahead of myself there. So I have negative 15x here. Negative 12y here is equal to negative 30. Now I can simply add these two equations. 15 minus 15. I'll still abide by. 15 minus 12. And 45 minus 30. I have a one-step equation now. I divide by the coefficients. So 1y is equal to 5. Now, if I look at the top equation, I'm going to put it into the original one, not the one we multiplied by, because those are going to have bigger numbers in it. So I put parentheses in place of my y here, and then I plugged in what y equals when these two lines meet, so that I'm just left with one variable. So 3x plus 15 is equal to 9. I need to get rid of my constant by taking the opposite of it from both sides. So I'm left with 3x is equal to 9 minus 15 is negative 6. Divide by my coefficient. So x is equal to negative 2. Remember, we always list our answer with our x value and then our y value in our parentheses. So here I have my x value of negative 2 and my y value of 5. Okay. Look at number 9. I'm trying to get these two to match or these two to match. I've got to multiply them both. So do we want to get our x's to match or our y's to match? X's. So I have to multiply them essentially by the other thing. So I have to take a 7 through here. If I do that, 35x plus 63y is equal to negative 70. So I want the opposite of 35. So I have to multiply by a negative what here? 5, because 5 times 7 is 35. Do you see where your multiplication facts are so important? If you don't have them by now, you got to do something this summer. I don't want you to have to retake math classes in high school. Negative 5 times 7 is negative 35x. Negative 5 times 10 is negative 50y. And that is equal to a positive 5 here. Because negative times a negative is positive. 5 times 1 is 5. So now I'm simply finding the sum of my equations. My x variable is going goodbye. That's what we wanted to happen, so we want to make sure it does, right? They're equal and opposite. 63 minus 50 is 13y. And 70 essentially minus 5, because these are different, is 65. But my bigger number is negative, so this is negative. I know when I divide 65 by 13, it's going to be 5, because half of 13 is 6.5. If I take half of it and times it by 10, I get 65. You can also put it in a calculator, use a multiplication table, something, but this is negative 5. Do you want to plug this into our top equation or our bottom? We'll just start writing the top equation. In place of my y, I'm putting what y equals. That's substituting. So 5x minus 45 is equal to negative 10. When I get rid of my constant, I'm going to be adding 45 to both sides. My signs are different, so I'm taking the difference, and my bigger number is positive. 35 divided by 5 is 7. Remember, I'm listing it as my x and my y. This is a negative 5. Questions on 27. Do you see how we're just adding one more layer? So if you're lost right now, it could be because you haven't been following along. So go back in the series, watch the video, take notes with us. If you took notes with us, go back through and watch the video and make sure you're understanding why we're doing that, right? All right, just a few more here before you've got one more assignment. We're going to be reviewing tomorrow, quiz on Monday. So do we want to get our x's to match or our y's to match? Y's. So what is the least common multiple of 2 and 3? 6. So to change the 2 into a 6, I have to multiply by 3. So I think it's important to just do one at a time. That way we can think about what we want the next one to be. So I've got 15x plus 6y is equal to negative 9. I don't want that clutter to distract you. All right. Now I want 3 to be the opposite of 6y. What do I multiply by the 3 to make it negative 6? I multiply it by 2 to get it to be 6 and negative 2 to get it to be negative 6. So here I have negative 6x minus 6y is equal to negative 18. So 15 minus 6 is 9x. 6 minus 6 is 0. That's what we wanted to happen. My signs are the same here, so I'm really finding the sum. 9 and 18 is 27, but it is negative. So I'm dividing by my coefficient to figure out what 1x equals. What does 1x equal? -3. I've got to put -3 back into one of these. I like the bottom. I don't know. It doesn't really matter which you choose, but 3 times -3 plus 3y is equal to 9. Guess what's gonna happen? It's going to be a nice one. So I have to take the opposite of this constant to get rid of it. So I'm really adding 9 to both sides. So 3y is equal to 18. When I divide both sides by the coefficient, I'm left with y is equal to, what's 18 divided by 3? 6. So this point is -3, 6. This is where these two lines intersect. That's my solution to those systems. All right, so now number 9. Do you want to get the x's to match or the y's to match? I noticed that the y's are already opposite. One's positive and one's negative. So maybe we could just multiply through by positives for both of those. What's the least common multiple of 2 and 5? 10. So to turn a 2 into a 10, I have to multiply by 5. Remember, you're multiplying by all 3. 5 times 3x is 15x. 5 times 2y is 10y. 5 times -26 is -130. How did I do that so fast? Half of 26 is 13. 13 times 10 is 130. That's how you do all your 5s. Right? Maybe. If I said 5 times 5, half of 5 is 2.5 times 10 is 25. 5 times 5 is 25. All right, now I can't just rewrite this one because I need to make this a -10. How do I make a -5 a -10? What do I multiply by? 2. Don't forget to multiply everything by 2. So 2 times 4x is 8x. 2 times -5 is -10y. And 2 times -4 is -8. Some of these aren't very pretty, right? We're combining them. 15 and 8 is 23. Don't forget your x. 10 minus 10, that goes goodbye. Here, our signs are the same, so we're finding the sum. It's getting more negative. So I have -138. Now I'm looking at my 3 and I'm thinking, 3 times what gives me 28? Well, 3 times what ends in an 8? 6. So 18 ends in an 8 because 3 times 6 is 18. So when I divide by 23, the first thing I'm checking is a 6 if I want to end in 8. So 6 times 3 is 18, carry the 1. 6 times 2 is 12, plus that 1 would be 13. So I've got -6 here, or you may simply put it into your calculator. And then I'm plugging this back in. So if I look at the top equation, I'm putting parentheses in place of my x value because that's what I'm going to substitute since that's what I know. And I'm putting a -6 in here. 3 times -6 is -18. So -18 plus 2y is equal to -26. Taking the opposite of the constant from both sides. So I'm adding 18 to both sides to make it go away from the left. So 2y is equal to, our signs are different. So 26 minus 18 is that 8. My bigger number is negative. divide by your coefficient to get what 1y equals, which is -4. So this is the point -6, -4. Anybody get something different? My arithmetic's okay. All right, number 10. Do we want our 4s and our 5s to match up, or our 3s and 4s? 3s and 4s. So what's 3 times 4? 12. So I'm getting one to be positive 12 and one to be negative 12. 4 times 4x is 16x. 4 times 3y is 12y. And 4 times -1 is -4. Now I need this to be the opposite of 12. I know I multiply the 4 by 3 to make it 12, but I need the opposite of that. So I'm going to multiply it by -3. -3 times 5x is -15x. Oh, that looks nice. -3 times 4y is -12y. That's what we wanted. And -3 times 1 is equal to -3. Now when I find the sum of these, 16x minus 15x is simply 1x. This goes goodbye. And we simply have to combine -4 and -3. It's getting more negative. X is -7. So if I look at my first equation and rewrite it, I'm now substituting my x value in for x. So now I only have one variable and can solve for it. 4 times -7 is -28. I copy down the rest of my problem. I need to get rid of this, so I'm going to take the opposite of it from both sides. This leaves me with 3y is equal to 27. Our signs were the same, so we found the difference. Bigger number was positive, so our answer is positive. Divide by the coefficient to find what 1y equals. Well, 27 divided by 3 is 9. So the point where these two lines intersect is -7, 9. Okay, so we are finishing up this packet today. After you finish these last 8 problems, you can go through and go back. Make sure you've got the boom decks and the pixel arts finished for extra practice. Tomorrow we are going to be reviewing with Khan and any of the things left unfinished from the packet and those other assignments, pixel art, boom decks, you name it. So when you're looking at these, decide, can I just add them? Do I have to multiply them? Do I have to multiply them both? In this case, you do have to multiply them both. Same with number 2, same with number 3. It looks like most of these are just like our practice and examples where you do have to multiply them both by something to make them match and be the opposite. Yes, all 8 of them. Then the first 4 give you the help of an answer bank. Remember, they're always listed in the form XY, okay? So which ones do you want to get matching? Multiply them through. Don't forget to multiply all parts. Line up your equations. Add them up. Solve for one. Substitute and solve for the next. All right, so 29 and 30 today. And then tomorrow we'll move on to review. If for some reason you do have everything done and want to move on, those Khan Academy assignments have been assigned to you if you want to get a jump start. But here's our priority. Once this packet's done, go back and finish anything else in the packet, especially the boom decks and pixel arts. And then we're moving on to review tomorrow. Remember, it's always important to have work to use, examples to use on the quiz. So when you're doing that Khan, it wouldn't hurt to grab some paper and do those problems on a separate sheet of paper, because you'll be able to use those with your packet as well on Monday for the quiz, okay? All right, we've got a good 15 minutes, so let's get a move on those 8.